and welcome to the very first HR talk show, which is part of the Albatha Learning Festival 2021. And we are quite honored, I'd say, to have as our very first guest, a very special guest, Nihal Hamad here, who's the HR director for MPC and GI. Welcome, Nihal.
Thank you.
This is something again we're new to, but then I'm sure you have been introduced like these before. Have you had to speak about HR previously?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me today. I think it's a great honor and pleasure for me to be here. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on the 10th season of Albatha Learning Festival. And yes and no. So yes, I have been on the stage before talking about HR, but it's never been this professional with all the screens and everything. So it gives it a different air today.
Well, to be honest, we're also learning, and as I said, it's the 10th season, so the 10 years of Albatha Learning Festival has really taught us a little bit, so we're just trying to do whatever we've learned. But thank you very much. Once again, I'd like to do this introduction, Albatha. I'd like to basically introduce you to Nihal here in 1 minute. She was born in Cairo to a diplomat father and a physician mother. She has 3 siblings, 2 sisters and a brother. Mother of 2 children, one of whom has recently graduated as well. And not very surprising, but she's a professional athlete. I'd say a national swimming champion. We'd probably want to visit a bit more on that. And again, when it comes to her career, she's been in the HR field for the last 25 years. She's worked all over GCC, North Africa, Europe, and big organizations. And just to name a few, we've got MSD, Imar, Henkel, Unicare, so quite a Unilever. So quite a good portfolio. I believe, am I missing out anything?
No, actually, I'm quite impressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Nihal, I'd like you to introduce to Albatha here. What you have in our digital audience today is a small representation of a business that tries to take care of its people so that they can take care of our customers. So this is Albatha, and we are in conversation with Nihal Hamad, who's the HR director for MPC, GI and Unicare. So to begin with, Nihal, I'd just like to ask you, what would be the most important thing we should know about you?
Well, welcome to all our audience, and I really hope that today everyone will find this session beneficial and interesting, and hopefully we can have a conversation that everyone will enjoy. Well, after everything you've said, you barely left anything for me to add, really. I think moving on from who I am to what I stand for, what I believe in, I think is important for me to be represented as, or for people to know about me. I'm somebody who's, I'm very simple. I'm a very simple person. I like to live simply, and in what I do, I always strive to be fair. And I think this is something that I really hold very high on my agenda. Because before I'm in a position to take any decision or to resolve any conflict or do what I do best at my job, I always try and put myself in every party's shoes. If I was standing in their shoes now, what would I want to see? How would I want to be treated? How would I want to be communicated to? What message would I want to receive? And from there, I really strive to see things from different perspectives and take what I would then at that point in time, given that information, see as the most fair thing to do for the people involved. So I think this is something that anybody who will work with me and deal with me will need to know, that I will always value this above all others.
I mean, after listening to you, all I can say is MPC and GI, lucky to have you there. So again, as you can see, you're still new to the organization. Is there something during the last 12 months, would you count anything which was an important change in your life?
Wow, yeah, over the past 12 months, I think, well, if I say the most important change, the most significant change, I think was COVID. And not just for me, of course, for everyone, for humankind. But for me personally, it's when you have a very busy, full life, when you travel around a lot and you're always busy at work and so on. I really enjoyed, with the lockdown, the peace and quiet. Quiet time with family, getting to refocus your ideas, focus on what's most important for you. Really, get time to know your children better. You have those teenagers that grow so fast, and you kind of like in the middle of everything else, you miss knowing them kind of on a deeper level. So I think getting the chance and opportunity to do that, to know them both well, and to spend time with them, kind of rediscover the man that you're married to, and appreciate the lovely things in the person. So family time, quiet time to refocus and realize how fragile and short life really is.
True.
And focus on what really makes a difference in our
True.
lives.
True.
So for me, I think this was the most important change. But of course, moving back to the UAE, to Dubai, and joining the Albatha group, that of course is the most significant change in my life this year.
Great, splendid. But then I really like you touched on the subject about reconnecting with the family and the children, because honestly, it does seem like COVID did tell us that we were rushing in, we were moving too fast. So slow down, catch up, hold on to, because it really did feel on a personal level for everyone, I guess, that this was a time to reconnect, especially with the family. So glad you brought that up. Again, something that I would like to discuss more in detail with you later on also, but HR director, being a female HR director, and this is something that you've been doing in a lot of your previous organizations. So, I mean, growing up, I mean, is there something your mother would have spoken to you about feminism?
Actually, no. I don't remember my mother actually ever talking about feminism. I think it was always, our life was a demonstration, I think, more than anything else. I saw my mother being a very successful physician who really valued her work, but also understood when it was time to focus more on family, travel the world with my father, focus on us. We're 4 kids, so we're more than a handful, I tell you that. So I saw her having a very varied and rich life. I saw her always standing for what she believed in, being a very strong woman, but a very tender mother, a very giving wife, a very loving daughter. So I think you learn from that what being a woman is, and that feminism is not something that you fight for, it's something that you be. And with the right family, with the right support system, you can achieve in your life what you want to achieve, whilst you stay very well connected with who you are and what you stand for. So I think that was the best demonstration of feminism that I can vouch for.
Excellent, excellent. I just feel like I'm the only one who's asking all the questions, but I just take a moment here and address our audience that if there's any questions that you have, probably I'm sure Nihal would be more than glad to answer them probably somewhere in the end of this session. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to write them down, and you can enter them in the chat section, and we have our moderators who can take them up, and if time permits, we will definitely take them up with you, if that is okay. Splendid. So picking back again from something you just said, with all of this, what was your inspiration then to choose your profession?
I think I've always had this intrigue about people. I mean, even back in school, my favorite subject, and the one that I was actually very good at, which were not a lot of subjects, was history. And the reason why I was very interested in history is that it told me, and it gave me a story about people, their achievements, their development, civilization, a struggle, and I decided on a major for my bachelor's degree. I studied literature and literature and civilization, because that, again, it connected to that story, and I took it from an artistic side, and how at different parts of a country's life, whether it's politically or from a civilization perspective, how that is impacted and impacts the art and the literature and the paintings and all sorts of things that human beings then do in reaction to those realities that they're living. So when it came then to the business world, I think the natural choice would be then to look at the people side of it. So I think it came as a very natural choice for me. I didn't need to think a lot. That's why I've always been in HR. So I haven't moved from something to HR. I've always been in HR. Because that's where my passion is. That's where I think I perform best. And use my strength areas to connect to people and to work on what matters most to people. And that's a natural choice for me.
True. So basically what I gather from your answer is that you're a person who's got a lot of empathy for others around you, and maybe that's how the natural transition took place then.
I would like to think so, yes.
Great. So again, I mean, this is a question I would say that a lot of audiences today would be interested to know from you. I mean, what exactly is the role of HR in an organization?
Yes, I get that a lot. So I think HR is it's like any other function. In order for an organization to succeed, you have different elements, different tools that the organization brings on board in order to have that platform where you can perform and do well in your business. People is one element of it, and like you have people who manage procurement and supply chain and finance, you need someone to also manage the people element.
True.
So in a nutshell, that's the role of HR. In order to provide the organization with the right tools, expertise, know-how to manage the human capital that we have. And I dare say that the human capital is by far the most important element of an organization's success. You have the right people, you will have the right business. You will grow your business, you continue to grow and succeed. So HR is the function that brings in the people expertise, whether it's in bringing in the right people, developing them, making sure that they are retained, they stay within the organization, that they move into the right jobs. So this is why we're here. This is why we exist. And our role here is not to do that firsthand. It doesn't take away the responsibility from the managers. So the manager is, at the end of the day, the ultimate responsible person for their teams. Our role is to support that manager with the people expertise, with the tools, with the insights, with the coaching, with the experience that we bring with us in managing people, in order to help them and support them do their task as people managers better and in the best way that they can.
Okay. I mean, it's very interesting that you said that, and because what you're saying is, it's not just the responsibility of the HR manager to take care of the people, it's every line manager is responsible for their people.
It's actually, it's the role of HR to support the line managers take care of the people.
Now, again over here, maybe more on a practical side of the way the business functions, how many managers are actually trained to manage people?
A very good observation. And I think this is one of the reasons when you move to any organization, you always see the common issue that speaks, well, you know, we have an issue with our middle management. We don't see that at all times people are managed the right way because middle management this and middle management that. And I think this all stems from exactly what you've mentioned. I'm a good salesperson, so then I'm a good sales manager. Not necessarily. You could be, but then you would need to be developed, nurtured, ensure that you are then ready for becoming a people manager, because managing and closing a sale yourself is different from helping others close a sale. And being able to motivate that team, being able to empathize with that team and to understand them, to have an eye for talent, to resolve conflict when it happens, and it does happen within teams. So all of those skills, if you want to be a successful people manager, you need to be able to learn, to develop, and to be nurtured into becoming a successful people manager. So the that happen prematurely or without the right tools, the right HR support to ensure that people are ready for people management jobs.
Excellent, excellent. I think that's a brilliantly answered question. Thank you very much. Nihal, this is something I'd like to gather a question from your experience. I mean, having worked, I can say almost halfway across the world. I mean, how would you compare, like, I mean, from your recent experience in Europe, that is, how do you find the HR in this Middle East region in comparison? I mean, what would you have to say about that?
Okay, I think it's a different environment, and it's an environment that has a lot of specificity. It's a very specific environment with a specific culture and a specific norms. So it's difficult to compare. It's not comparing apples to apples. I think the focus of HR is different in different regions because of the nature of the society. You have, for instance, if you look at the society in Europe, it's a society that, for most of the countries there, they have a very good or a very strong social support structure. Right, so you have all the social security, the social insurances, you have free schooling, you have this, you have that. So people kind of tend to look, to look at their careers as jobs that they need to make in order to self-fulfill, and that gives the relationship between the employer-employee and the needs of the employer from the employee from the employer different. Whereas if you move in the Middle East, you will find that people work to make a living. To be able to put their kids in school, to be able to have social security, and to save enough to have pensions. And that again gives a different focus area for HR. How do we help people achieve their objectives out of their jobs and their working experiences? So the different natures of both environments force a different nature of HR focus that fits those kinds of different lifestyles and different requirements.
I think that has actually been quite an eye-opener of an answer, yes, because as you rightly said, the needs of the people are different, and yes, there's a more security back there as compared to, because in this region or generally we see lots of things, lots of good things happening in Europe, but then again, that's a whole different environment, so obviously it has different perks to be there, and again, over here, we have a different set of people, so again, rightly said, thank you very much.
If I might add also one thing to that, I have to say that I very much respect people in our region generally. The amount of resilience, the amount of willingness to go out of your way, the amount of ambition that you put into your career, dedication, I don't think I've seen it in any other region. And I think that is very commendable, respectable, and gives this is what gives this region the edge. It's the people, it's the manpower, how much we are different in our ability to push through things and to be very, very resilient populations. I think that's very respectable and makes all the difference.
True, very rightly said, and I think I'd take this opportunity, especially, and our audience would also agree, where we say that in Albatha as well, really take pride in saying that we're a learning organization. So it's like we always keep looking for new things, new challenges, and something that this region has really taught us quite well. And again, we do feel we're quite resilient. I mean, it's the conditions here that have made us build the resilience in us.
Yeah.
So again, we try to do our best. There's a little bit what I'd like to do now, is focus a bit more on your current role now. I mean, you've joined as a HR director. So what exactly are you looking forward to in this role now in your current company?
I think it's a very exciting role. When you move from a number of multinationals and you move into a local organization, I think it's all about making that difference and that freedom to make a difference and the impact. So I think in MPC and GI, I think we have great teams. We have leadership that's committed to change, to transformation, to pushing things forward. And with that, I think it makes it all the more exciting. So I'm very excited by the possibilities. the possibilities of change, transformation, and how that will positively impact people and employees within our group and within NPC and GI in specific.
Excellent, excellent. What I'd like to do now is just take up a question which we sort of check with some of our target audiences and a bit more on the specific HR side. And basically, when we talk about organizations and we talk about employee gradings, many organizations actually say that we have got a very good employee grading structure, our compensation benefits are in line with that, and we are very transparent and everything. But again, really, how religiously are these actually followed in real world?
I would say, very religiously in most organizations, and I think it's for a reason. I mean, the more we step away from thinking about grading as a hierarchy. It's not a hierarchy. The grading happens based on the impact of your role on the organization. And by impact, I mean responsibilities, financial impact, people impact, and business impact. So it's a very scientific method of actually measuring jobs. So when you measure that job, it is very relevant and very directly relevant to the job that you do, the duties that you perform. So each of us would perform duties that would then give you a specific grade, a specific place in the organization. So it's important for us all to understand that it's not a hierarchy, it's a representation of the impact that you have on the organization. And we can all aspire to be more impactful, so we can all get there. At the same time, with those gradings, it gives us guidance on if I want to hire somebody with those kinds of skills and knowledge and know-how, where do I need to pay that person? How do I need to give benefits? How do I structure reward, recognition? So over and above that, it then gives us that guidance onto where and how do we need to structure our compensation and benefits policy, our development policy, our succession planning. So it's a very important guide to the organization, whether to employees, employers, or to HR.
Okay. Just something that you just said, and a thought which came in my mind about succession planning. Would it be apt or appropriate to discuss this at the time of recruitment with candidates, or maybe at least with your final candidates? I mean, is it? I mean, how important would it be if it were to be discussed?
I don't think you would normally discuss succession planning. You would normally discuss possible career opportunities. So, what kind of career opportunities would the organization be able to offer you, provided that you perform at the desired level? So those kinds of conversations, a lot of candidates actually ask, if I join the organization, what could possibly be next for me? And you need to describe the arena of the organization, what other possible opportunities, what career paths can the employee have once they become an employee of the organization. So in terms of career path, yes, we can definitely, and we do get those questions and have to answer that.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much for clarifying that. I'd like to just go a little bit, not that we're trying to put you in an uncomfortable position, but just a question that, again, is spoken a lot about, and that would be is how should organizations decide on increments and benefits?
You're not putting me on the spot at all, are you? Increments and benefits, wow. All right. I believe that it's a decision that has to be, again, scientifically based. So, like everything else in the organization, we have people in order to deliver value. And in order to deliver value, we need to be able to strike the right balance for people. So we need to hire people at the right level, the right grade. We need to accordingly pay them a pay for a fair day's work. And we need to be able to retain them through the benefits that we provide. So everything, all our compensation and benefits strategy is based around recruitment and retention. Hiring and attracting the best talent, but also maintaining and retaining the best talent. So all activities that we do around pay and compensation are put around these two important strategy points. Now, how do we decide on it? As I said, it's a very scientific way. We compete for talent in the market, right? So in that market, I want to pay for the talent that I bring the right salary and the right benefits that would enable me to attract that talent. So it's just a cause and effect. So I need to do this, therefore I need to do that. So paying the right benefit, the right salary, for instance, that then becomes essential in order to be able to attract the right talents and to keep the right talents within the organizations. So understanding the market, how you benchmark and compare against your peers, is where it all starts. Because then you know who are the organizations I want to headhunt from. So where do I get my talent? Who am I worried will take my talent? So what organizations that I know they're after my people, so I need to know how much they pay. I need to understand where I am in the market and accordingly be able to put myself in a position to be able to attract the talent that I want to attract and also defend my own talent from being headhunted in the market. If the market is in stagnation, and I know that the market is not paying any increments because of whatever economic situation it is, then we don't pay any increments, right? If the market is, growing, boosting, there's shortage of talent because, there are so many businesses opening up and the market is short for talent. This is when I need to, in response to the market conditions, I need to then pay increments. I need to increase or review my salary scales to represent that, that state of the market. So it's a very market-driven, they're very market-driven decisions. And at mind or at heart of those decisions is the ability to attract and retain. And it always needs to be with that objective in mind.
Just something I was able to gather from what you said is you spoke a lot about retention, employee retention. And I have come across individuals or professionals who've always cited that the reasons that they have left an organization was because it wasn't transparent enough. I mean, do you feel being transparent with employees is something that could help in retaining talent?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm all for transparency. I don't see any reason why we need to hide. Organizations do things for good reasons.
Okay.
And as long as we're confident that we're doing it for good, logical reasons, we should always strive to be transparent with people in communicating those reasons. Some people will like them, some people will not. And that's just, the matter of fact, that's just how life is. But I think even if people don't like it, they will always respect the fact that the organization has been transparent and has let them know why things are happening the way they're happening. Having said that, of course there are some things that would need to be kept not fully transparently for a while because of a business deal that's going on that could be negatively impacted in the market if the word goes out. So when there is a good reason, a good solid reason, where information needs to be kept within a limited number of people, then I think that's justified. But unless this is the case, I also don't see any reason why an organization would keep any information from its employees. We're in the same ship.
Correct. I think I completely agree with you on that one. What I'd like to know your thoughts on this also is over here there's something else that also comes a lot when you talk to people is there's not enough opportunities for people to like for example internal hiring. Now a lot of organizations talk about it. I mean it's there on their websites, it's there on their profiles. I mean they talk about it with candidates during interviews and all that, but then you still don't see enough share of that happening. I mean, what would be your thoughts on that? I mean, is there any particular reason why it's not encouraged a lot, or is it just a mindset of people?
I don't think it's the mindset of people, and I don't think it's not encouraged. I just think we don't yet at times have the right platforms to get this going the right way. So if you want to do internal hiring from around the organization, you need to be able to, as an organization, first know who your talents are, right? So I need to know who are my talents. So you need to have a discussion around talents every year so that you know who the talents are, what are their development needs, when will they be ready for a move. So once you have these moderation sessions and those differentiation sessions, you will then develop that talent pool that you can tap on in order to, when you have an internal opportunity or when you have an opportunity, who are the people who are ready, available, and are able to take the job. When we don't have those platforms set up properly, properly or set up in the utmost way possible, then it becomes difficult to hire from within, because every business will then have immediate needs. I want to go now, I want to, so I go out in the market and I hire someone. Because we're always stressed for time, we want to have the person on the ground ASAP to get the business running. Unless we have those platforms already existing, those people already know, then it becomes the easier choice to just go out in the market and hire someone. Although it's also very time consuming, and the time and the cost of training and knowledge is quite substantial. The opportunity of recruitment mistakes happen. So the safest way actually is to hire and develop your talents from within. But in order to do that, I think we need to develop the right platforms for it.
True, true. I think what I'd like to do is just take a moment here again and like to thank you for being very candid and very open with your answers. I mean, I'm sure our audience would agree with this, because there's really no curtains. I mean, what you're telling us and what you're sharing with us is something that is from the practical side of things. So thank you for being so honest and candid about it. Really appreciate it. Just something again, I'm just trying to relate with what you've been telling us is, having, let's say you have those platforms, you have everything, but something also very common that we see here is an unconscious bias in workplaces. Because you can have everything in place and still people feel that I was there was an oversight, or I was not considered because of this reason, there's so many reasons. I mean, I think that's a very real problem that we have, an unconscious bias in the workplace. So how do you I'd say focus on that? I mean, how can you mitigate that, or how can you make people self-aware about it? I mean, what would you say about that?
Well, I think unconscious biases are very real, and we see them in everyday work, life, everything. And those, to define it in the simplest way, it's your memory and your internal knowledge of different groups of people that plays a part of your decision making at any given point in time. So that's unconscious bias. So, for instance, if I've had a previous experience, a bad experience of any sort, with an individual who came from a specific background or a specific country or from a specific gender, that is still in my memory, and it would be in my memory, then that unconsciously would impact my decision when dealing with a specific individual at a given point in time. Those are unconscious biases. Now, the only way to deal with unconscious biases is to be aware of them. Be aware that when you're dealing with an individual, it is just that individual. It's not that other person who you had a bad experience with. It's not, he's not you. So you don't necessarily need to see that that person is exactly like you. So don't be biased to yourself, and always choose people who look and think and are a replicate of yourself. So think more broader. Be aware that those biases are not always true, and be aware that you need to look at people and be able to see that individual, not someone else. For instance, I will give a common example. When sometimes when some of our managers, males or females, are interviewing a young woman of childbearing age, they're always in their subconscious mind. They will think, yeah, but you know what, she might, go pregnant, have a baby, her husband might do this or that, so you know what, the safer option maybe would be to go for a guy. And I think this is unconscious bias, because you should not be biased by your own perceptions of what she might do in her life, because you don't know her. You don't know how she will deal with it if it comes. You don't know how much value she will add to the organization, to the job, how much she will take the job forward. At that point in time when she's doing it, that might compensate even for the fact if she goes on 3-month maternity. You would probably be able to say, that was all worth the while. So give people a chance. Don't let your unconscious biases take decisions on your behalf. And the only way to do that is just be aware of them.
All I can say right now is a lot of our audiences in our chat window putting up a lot of applauses over there. Again, an excellent excellent answer, and thank you for addressing, because yes, these are some what do you call, something that we see quite often, and what you feel is it is there, it is, like you said, very, very real. But then how do you bring about gender balance in an organization? I mean, how practical would that be?
Very practical. And again, I have seen both genders perform really well in all jobs. I have seen women perform really well in sales jobs. I have seen women perform really well in engineering jobs. And I have seen both genders perform very well in leadership roles. So I think that moving our biases from the gender, I don't think gender should be in the equation of selection. I think competency, ability, should be the only deciding factors when you are making any kind of employee selection. So the more we change our mindsets to ensure that we have, we take away those considerations of gender, and we only look for the best candidate, the better we are in a position to have gender balance. Sometimes organizations, they introduce some measures to help people do that. For example, you might ask that in every shortlist that I want to see for a role, I want to see a balance between males and females. If diversity of gender is what you're up to. Sometimes when you have other diversity agendas, other issues of diversity within the organization, you might say, I want to see in the shortlist, I want to see, people from different generations. So it depends. Every organization has diversity issues. And in order to directly deal with those diversity issues, you need sometimes to put some positive action by introducing some measures that will ensure that at least that group of people that you want to push forward in the organization is represented at least in the shortlist that we get to see. So they get a fair chance of being selected.
True. Very impactful reply on that one. Thank you once again. But then just something, a couple of days back I was reading, and there was this report on a survey which was done, I think it was published in the early 2020. And even as of the end of 2019, only 34% of in the Fortune 500 companies only in North America, there were only 34% women at the C-suite level positions. So, I mean, we don't have such service in here, but then, even if you consider that way, even in the US, I think there's an improvement, yes, but then there's still a long way to go. So, again, we have you, and hopefully, I'm sure we can expect a lot of change in this sense also. There's something else that we were able to gather from the stories that you've been sharing with us, and as we said earlier, you've come across as a person who's got a lot of, who's very connected to people, and I feel you give a lot of importance on employee engagement. So, and something that we've heard of is that you have a very good passion for learning and development. So, could you share a few thoughts on that also for us, please?
Well, I have to say, learning and development is the soul of an organization. Becoming a learning organization is not easy. And I dare say that having the 10th session of Albatha Learning Festival does say volumes about the commitment of this organization to learning. Because 10 years of consistency is a lot to vouch for. So I think definitely Albatha is committed to learning. The elective method of signing up yourself to those sessions, I think is very, very good. Because one of the things that I always witness is that organizations don't advertise enough the fact that people need to own their own learning. You need to own your development. You need to feel that this is your responsibility. You're the #1 responsible person for your own development. You push your manager if they don't have the time. You go with the training courses and you say, this is what I want to do. So you keep pushing for your development and you own it. And when you get an opportunity like the Albatha Learning Festival, you take it. So this is how you develop. This is how you grow. When you show that commitment to yourself first. So changing the mindset and having things where people actually, it's not my manager that's going to tell me, you're going to attend this course, so I'm just going to sit there. No, the ability to look through the different available courses and trainings, and I'm going to select something that I'm interested in. I think that's exactly the mindset that I always like to urge people to have, and to take opportunity of those learning opportunities, always.
Very, very rightly said, and this is something that I like to even tell audiences that basically what Nihala said here and we would agree with is it is not the organization's job to put you on a training session, but I'd say the responsibility to provide the platform, and it is your own decision to make use of those opportunities. So we have the Albatha Learning Festival, we have a lot happening, so please make sure that you take the optimum advantage of this event. And probably something that I would lead to my next question to you is, how do you feel Albatha L&D can help and contribute in your current journey here?
Well, look at us today. I think that's the best testimony. I mean, you've created that platform, you've granted me that opportunity, and to meet with so many people in the organization that I wouldn't otherwise meet. To be open and candid, and to give hopefully guidance and advice and knowledge. So I think you're already helping a lot. But also I think it's the openness to listen, and with I think discussions with Sabiha on different learning and empowerment opportunities within the group. I think we've both discussed something very exciting that I dare say that I can share with everyone today. That we are preparing ourselves to launch the Albatha Women's Network. And Albatha Women's Network would be an empowerment network. A women's empowerment network where we will discuss with women about their careers, about their issues in the workplace, how to empower them, give them soft skills training, have the opportunity to network with one another and feel that you're not alone. I think that's a great opportunity. I will not say more, but we're all very, very excited. And I think Albatha L&D is definitely providing for those ability to share those ideas and bring them to life. So stay tuned to that.
Fantastic, fantastic. I actually now I'm feeling a little bit envious because
it's our time.
Definitely. I feel once we have the women in Albatha go ahead with this project, and as you said, we're not raising the curtains on everything that's in store. We would definitely like to be inspired and maybe have our own club for some of the men here. So we'll definitely be looking forward to that inspiration. Thank you. But then again, what I'd like to ask you next is, what is the essence of being a successful woman?
The essence? Wow, that's a tough question. I think it's going after what you believe in. I think being successful is a big word, and I think it's a word that means differently for everyone. So success for me as a woman can be different from what success is for another woman. And whether it be as a mother, or as a professional, or as an artist, or whatever success might be for different women, I think they should just be able to go out and be that. Believe in themselves, prepare and plan how they're going to get there, and be the best version of themselves that they can be. I think success comes in a lot of different shapes and colors and types of success. And whatever your success is as a woman, just go for it. And when you go for it and believe in it, you will be surprised to see how many people are willing to get out there and support you with it. So I think it's believing in yourself, going for it, but also not being shy to ask for help when you need it. Sometimes as women we feel that we want to prove ourselves, so I'm not going to ask for help because I can do it on my own. So no, you need help sometimes, and when you do need help, ask for it, and you'll be surprised to see that a lot of people are willing to help out there. So go for it and make the space and the time for yourself to be successful.
Excellent advice for some of our young women who are watching this session, this discussion. Thank you for the advice. Again, from something coming up from gender biasness, I mean, there's this golden question which is whether women can have it all. What do you think? What would be your thoughts on that one?
My thoughts would be, what is all? I mean, again, as I just for different people, it's different things. I can feel that when I'm a housewife sitting at home with my kids, I have it all. I can feel that, no, I want more. So for me, more is that I want also career. So that for me would be all. So I think any woman, I think any person generally, can have what they want out of life if they're focused enough, if they're dedicated enough, and they're willing to put the time and effort. Women are no different. So I think everyone can have it all, their all, if they put enough time, dedication, and effort into it.
Perfect. I think I would like to now just say that I'm out of my questions. I've already put you on a very, very difficult spot with some of those difficult questions, but then you've graciously answered them for us. What we have now is a bit of a time slot for some of the questions our audience have put up. So can we take some of those questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the first question that we have is how do you make time for your family?
Well, I think there's always, in different parts of my life, I've had different focuses that are kind of like bringing themselves on as priorities. So at certain points in time, I have focused solely on my family, where I took career breaks and I focused only on my family, on my children, and been there as a mother only. When there was the need, when the kids were very small or when they were going through troubles, I'd managed also to walk out of jobs where I felt I was not able to maintain enough balance to give time to my family. And at times I felt that I needed to put my career first for a while in order to move forward and to get things going in the right direction. So I think it's all about realizing and recognizing that there's a good time for everything, and splitting your time accordingly. Not just because on a day-to-day basis, we all need to have to split our day. So you need to go home, take care of your family, take care of your kids, and so on. So on a day-to-day basis, we all manage to do that. It's more pressuring, but we all manage to do it somehow. But I think the important thing that we need to realize is that on a longer period of time, over your career, over your life, it is okay to have different times where you focus on different things. When your home needs you, when your kids need you, when your family needs you, you need to be there. But when they can cut you some slack and you can be able to focus more on your career, you owe that to yourself as well. So don't be afraid or scared to do that and focus more on your career for a while when you can be able to do that without negatively impacting your family.
So again, as you said, I mean, it's very important also to have that sort of a support structure, support system, I mean, a supporting family, and I feel if that is in place, then I don't think it should be that much of an issue then. Thank you very much for answering that. The next question that we have from our audience is, what is your motivational factor behind your success?
Well, I think two things. I want to set a good example for my children. I think that's very, very important for me. And I think we learn from our mother more than we learn from anyone.
Sure.
I have personally learned from my mother more than I've learned from anyone. So setting the right example for my children is the most important motivator for me. Making them see that you can do a lot more than people initially tell you can. That sometimes people will not tell you that you're able, they will tell you, no, but you can't. No, you can't, and you can prove to yourself that you can. That in any job that you do, you have to do with a lot of integrity. And you have to make sure that that you come out of that experience a richer individual psychologically, but you have to hold on to what you believe in. Don't let a job impact you or change who you are. You have to remain true to who you are and what you stand for, what you believe in. So I think that was my number one motivator, to be a good example for my children, both of them. And the second thing that motivates me, I think, is personal fulfillment. I love to be able to feel that I have made a good or positive impact on people. And in every job that I do, this is what keeps me going, keeps me motivated. When I feel that I've been part of a positive change, that I have influenced a good decision, that I've managed to introduce something that makes people's lives better. I think that for me always is a motivator. That's why, for instance, I enjoy very much working with blue collars, because I feel that there's so much that you can do with the blue collar population, that you can influence their life positively, and the small things that we can able to do can make a big difference and can really set them in the right path. So this motivates me to get out of bed every day and be able to add value, influence, and do what I do best.
I think what we could gather from your reply here is that if anybody were to say something about you on your 80th birthday, I mean, who is Nihal Ahmad? I think that answer is the best thing that we can do. So that's going to be your legacy then.
I hope so.
Again, very good, excellent. I think we still have time for one more question. Okay. So the next question that we have is, human capital is important, then why payroll is looked at when bottom line is not good? If human capital is important, then why payroll is looked at when bottom line is not good?
Well, I think an organization needs to survive, right? And it's not for anybody's, it's not going to benefit anyone in the organization. If the organization is not able to sustain itself financially. So sometimes tough decisions have to be taken. And those decisions are then planned in a way where you look at operational costs and you look at how you can cut on operational costs, how can you create more efficiencies in our operations. And once you've exhausted those, if the organization still needs more in order to survive, unfortunately sometimes we need to make tough decisions about people. But those decisions are never taken lightly. And I think we all realize that that human beings are our best asset, and that they're the last that are usually touched when you need to cut costs in order to have the organization sustain and survive. So yes, sometimes payroll is touched, but that's only because we have to at times, because that's how life is. We need to sustain an organization in order for it to survive and for everybody who works in it to survive. Sometimes we need to take tough decisions about a number of people, about a few people, but that's in order to ensure that everybody else survives. They're never happy decisions. They're never decisions that we want to take, but unfortunately are decisions that we sometimes have to take.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people who talk about, especially people in leadership roles in HR, they do say that one of the most difficult things that they have to do in their line of work is laying off people, or especially downsizing, and that many times they actually have sleepless nights, but then again it's all part of the job.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, yeah. Thank you very much. There's a very special request for one final question, maybe,
sure,
if you don't mind. How company culture affects business?
Company culture impacts business every day and every night, and they say that culture eats strategy for lunch, and that's absolutely true. It does eat strategy for lunch, because you can put the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if your culture does not promote it, does not provide for it, then it doesn't work. So it impacts it immensely. I think it's the number one impact on business is culture. So we need to be very clear on not just what culture we want, but with every action we take, what culture are we creating, and how is that going to translate into actions and beliefs in the workforce that will then become a culture and a norm. And we have to be very careful what culture we're creating with the decisions that we're making. And we need to be vigilant of where we want to go and make sure we take decisions that are always in line with where we want to go and how we want to see our culture evolving.
True. And I think what we've learned about you also is when it comes to culture change, this is something that you're very well familiar with also, and you've been very passionate about it, and someone who's actually spearheaded these projects in your previous organization as well.
Yes.
So I think if such need arises, we're already lucky to have you on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I believe if that's all the questions we have from audiences, I would just like to have a few parting words from my end before we could conclude with a few, maybe a final advice from you also. From our end, we'd like to say that it's really good and great to have you on board. We feel that we are lucky to have someone like you with such vast experience and a lot of intellect on the subject matter, and really looking forward to a lot of improvements, I would say. We are good, but we definitely want to be better, and I think we have the perfect person to lead us in that direction. So thank you very much again, and really appreciate you very graciously agreed to come on our show, the very first one. So it has actually given us a lot of confidence as well, and there's a very good benchmark set up, so we make sure that we keep it up to that. But as I said, would you like to conclude today's session with any final advice to our audience, please?
I think it's a great organization, and it's a very exciting time to be in this organization. There's so much change going on, and there's so much transformation, and we have a great team. So together, I think we can definitely make things happen. We can go where we want to go, with everyone's commitment, cooperation, transparency. I think we can go a long way, and we will go a long way. So thank you very much for having me today. I hope I wasn't too heavy of a guest. And I thank you all for the opportunity and for allowing me at this time. I feel very grateful for that. So thank you very much, and hopefully till next time. Thank you.
Thank you once again, and I'd like to thank all our audiences. This has been a very interesting hour, and Nihal, we really appreciate the answers. We're very honored to have you here, and we'd like to also thank some of our production team here. CK, thank you very much for having the whole session in place. Karim, thank you very much for assisting us. And as always, Sabiha ma'am, thank you for being a great mentor. With this, we'd like to sign off, and the conversation with Nihal Hamad comes to an end. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day. Albatha Learning Festival is still in its first week, and we've got very more interesting sessions coming up. Nihal has a lot of training sessions that probably we'll be bring up on the calendar in the subsequent months. So we definitely encourage you to look forward to that. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you. Here's us signing off.